This is Sky, the Soulful Progressive with FNN, Feminist News Network, the Feminist News that's right for you. Welcome to Sky in the Rainbow Room. Alright, thanks for watching, thanks for joining, and if you haven't subscribed today, please get it the soulful way. Alright, and remember, you can just click the link below that says Feminist News Network, and you can go to my channel and you can subscribe there too. Alright, now remember to ring that bell so you can find out when those new ones come out, because they do come out regular. Yes, alright. Now, what do I want to talk to you about today? Trump, and what is going on with Trump. Let's ask a serious question. Is he making the world more fascist? Is he making the world more racist? Is he making it harder for brown and black people in DOS across the world? Yes, he is. And with Bolsonaro visiting and showing off so he can run back and do more harm to the brown and black indigenous Brazilians and Afro-Brazilians of his country, you know I'm right. Now, we're going to take a quick look at this and then discuss. I know it is on the rise, but we got to realize that in this era of hate, it's more than ever time to participate. So let's take a look.
President Trump's meeting Tuesday with Brazil's far-right President Jair Bolsonaro at the White House. Today's meeting marked Bolsonaro's first trip to Washington since he was sworn in as Brazil's president in January. Some have described Bolsonaro as the Trump of the tropics. The former military officer has praised Brazil's former military dictatorship, which ended 33 years ago. He's spoken in favor of torture and threatened to destroy, imprison, or banish his political opponents. Human rights groups have expressed alarm over his past comments about women and the LGBT community. He once told a female lawmaker she was too ugly to rape. He also said he would rather hear his son died in a car crash than learn that his son is gay.
Bolsonaro's election last year was aided in part by the jailing of his chief opponent, former Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, who remains in prison. The judge involved in Lula's case is now Bolsonaro's justice minister. At the White House, Bolsonaro defended what he called traditional family values and attacked the news media.
Attitudes and against fake news.
Moments later, President Trump praised Bolsonaro's use of the phrase fake news.
You look at the networks, you look at the news, you look at the newscasts. I call it fake news. I'm very proud to hear the president use the term fake news.
During his remarks at the White House, President Trump vowed to strengthen economic and military ties with Brazil.
As I told President Bolsonaro, I also intend to designate Brazil as a major non-NATO ally, or even possibly, if you start thinking about it, maybe a NATO ally.
Two leaders also discussed Venezuela and their efforts to topple President Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela. President Trump threatened to increase sanctions on Venezuela, which is already facing a humanitarian crisis.
But we really haven't done the really tough sanctions yet. We can do the tough sanctions, and all options are open, so we may be doing that. But we haven't done the toughest of sanctions, as you know. We're
joined by Maria Luisa Mendonça, the director of the Network for Social Justice and Human Rights in Brazil, visiting scholar at City University of New York Graduate Center. Today, Bolsonaro's first as president, the former Army captain, coming to meet with Trump, and what came out of it?
I think that basically Brazil gave out many things and didn't receive anything back. For example, Bolsonaro promised that now U.S. citizens would not need a visa to travel to Brazil anymore, and that won't be the case for Brazilians coming to the U.S., which is a big change in foreign policy. Brazil has a history of reciprocity in its foreign policy and independent of the government. It's part of the Brazilian diplomacy. Also, Brazilian diplomacy has a history of resolving conflicts through a peaceful process of negotiation, and the discourse about Venezuela is very different than how Brazil has dealt with conflicts in the region historically. Venezuela is being used as an external enemy in Latin American countries as a way to help elect far-right political leaders. That was the case of Bolsonaro in Brazil and also in Colombia. And that's very dangerous because a war in Venezuela will have catastrophic consequences in the region. Another issue that they both talked about is looking at Venezuela as a country that needs humanitarian aid, and but that doesn't make any sense. For example, President Maduro offered to buy agricultural products from Brazil, so they don't need aid from Brazil. Also, Venezuela is a very strategic partner for Brazil because Brazil exports industrial products to Venezuela. So even from a pragmatic perspective, it doesn't make any sense not to have good relationships with Venezuela and other Latin American countries. Historically, Brazil always had good relationships with Latin American countries.
You know, it saddens my heart that so many people, which are now the so few, which is the Euro-American and the European majority, is now becoming the minority. And instead of turning into a cultivation where we learn from each other, you know, work with each other, be in unity with each other, they rather hate. There ain't a brown person that Trump likes. And for me to think that anybody of color would be such a fool to vote for this man and to vote again for a second term for this man shows your I can't say it any way else but your ignorance. You know, there's in Hawaii you have a lot of Asian residents here and Pacific Island descendants here, and I was talking to an Asian guy the other day, let me tell you like that, and it was a friend of this boy over here, and he was talking about, I like Trump's immigration policy. I was like, WTF, man? Do you realize you're of color? Do you realize that Trump looks down on you and you're one of those shit-ass countries that he talks about that you're from? And he calls Hawaii a shit-ass state we just need it for the bases. You think he ain't said that? Has anybody read Omarosa's book? And it's obviously a lot of people just aren't woke or paying attention to become woke. And what is needed badly is for more people to wake up and understand racism is on the rise. Racist attacks have increased 200% under Trump. This wall is his thing and he's calling it something he shouldn't. It is not an invasion because there are less Mexicans coming into the border, and the statistics show that there's more people leaving to go back to Mexico, but he still wants to call it an invasion. Why? Because he's ready to attack and he wants his white nationalist friends to know that. And if you agree, leave comments below and you can always let me know at FeministNewsN@gmail.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and the Facebook page. And remember, I'm Feminist News Network on Patreon and the Soulful Progressive on Twitter. And I got the Feminist News Network Rant of the Day on Blogger. So if you like to read, get in touch indeed. Alright, now remember, I'm that one-woman soulful team. So if you care to donate, it's PayPal me at Feminist News Network or PayPal me /Feminist News Network. Yeah, so thanks in advance. And remember to let them know there's some news out there with soul, telling it like it is. Alright, news crew, thanks for subscribing. Alright, so you need to remember, in this era of hate, we need to really get serious and participate, because fascism is on the rise and it's time to put it aside. Alright, peace. Really.